Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, Mysterious Voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I've found in my travels. Today, it is Poetry Thursday, so I wanted to talk about a poem that has interested me as of late, and one that is also in line with the theme of Spooktober, where we talk about scary or dark sort of poetry. And today's poem is all about Satan. I am referring to Address to the Devil by Robert Burns. For those who don't know, Robert Burns is a Scottish poet who lived in the mid to late 1700s. He wrote quite a bit of poetry about Scotland, Scottish culture, people, religion, those sorts of things. And it made him, or turned him into a national poet of Scotland. Widely regarded as one of the best Scottish poets. It seems like a lot of that has to do with how literature turned out afterwards, which is interesting. I've read some of his poetry already, which I think I had to read some of it for a poetry class I took in college, which was pretty good. But this is the first time I've really encountered it since then, and I do have to say that I really like this poem because of its sort of accusatory nature and who the subject of the poem is. So without further ado, let's talk about this poem. I will read it, do a little bit of analysis, and we'll move on from there. Address to the Devil. O thou, whatever title suit thee, odd horny Satan, Nick or Clutie, what in yon cavern grim and sooty, closed under hatches, sparages about the brun-stained cootie to scald poor wretches. Hear me, odd hangy, for a wee, and let poor damned bodies be. I'm sure small pleasure it can gie into a dale, to scalp and scald poor dogs like me, and hear us squeal. Great is thy power and great thy fame, far keened and noted is thy name, and thou yon lowen hews thy hame, thou travels far, and faith, thou's neither lag nor lame, nor blate nor scour, whiles ranging like a roaring lion, for prey a holes and corners tryin', whiles on the strong winged tempest flyin', turlin' the kirks, while in human bosom pryin', unseen thou lurks. I've heard my reverend granny say, in Langley glens ye like to stray, or wall-alled ruined castles grey nod to the moon, ye fright the nightly wanderer's way with eldritch croon. When twilight did my granny summon to say her prayers, douse honest woman, aft yont like dyke, she heard you bummin' with eerie drone, or rustlin' through the boar trees comin' with heavy groan. I deary windy winter night, the stars shot down with skeleton light. You myself I gat a fright, ayont the low. Ye like rash bus stood in sight, we waving saw. The cudgel in my knee did shake, each bristled hair stood like a stake, when we in eldritch store quick, among the sprigs, all ye scattered like a drake on whistling wings. Let warlocks grim and withered hags tell how we you on ragweed nags. They skim the muirs and dizzy crags with wicked speed, and in kirkyards renew their leagues, our honked dead. Thence contra wives with toil and pain may plunge and plunge the kern in vain, for oh, the yellow treasures ta'en by witchin' skill, and dot it, tall pent hockey's gain, as yells the bill. Thence mystic knots make great abuse on young guidemen, fond, keen, and cruce, when the best work loom in the house by cantrip wit is instant made no worse a louse, just at the bit. When thou's dissolve the snary hoard and flirt the jingling icy board, then water kelpies haunt the ford by your direction, and nighted travelers are allured to their destruction. And aft your moss traversing spunkies decoy the wight that late and drunk is. The bleazen cursed mischievous monkeys delude his eyes, till in some miry slough he sunk is, ne'er mere to rise. When mason's mystic word and grip in storms and tempest raise you up, some cock or cat your rage maun stop, or strange to tell, the youngest brother ye wad whip off straight to hell. Lang Syne and Eden bonny yard, when youthful lovers first were paired, and all the soul of love they shared, the raptured hour, sweet on the fragrant flowery sward, in shady bower. Then you, ye auld snick drowen dog, ye came to paradise in cog, and played on man a cursed brogue, black be your fa, and gied the infant world a shog, maist ruined Do I mind that day when in a biz, we ricket duds and rested giz, ye did present your smouty fizz, mang better folk, and skelented on the man of ooze your spiteful joke. And how ye gat him in your thrall, and brak him out of house and hall, while scabs and blotches did him gall with bitter claw, and lo's his ill-tongued wicked scowl was worst of But your doings to rehearse your wily snares and fetchin' fierce, send that day that Michael did you pierce down to this time, wadding a lolling tongue or erse in prose or rhyme. And now, odd cloots, I ken you're thinking a certain Barty's rantin', drinkin'. Some luckless hour will send him Lincoln to your black pit, but faith, he'll turn a corner jinkin' and cheat you yet. But fare you well, odd Nicky Ben, O wad ye take a thought and men, ye Iblands might I dinna ken, still hae a stake, I'm way to think upon yon den, even for your sake. And so that was Address to the Devil. In terms of analysis, there's quite a bit worth talking about there. First, the thing that I should probably address is the sort of word usage, the language of the poem. It's written in local Scottish dialect, so a lot of it might not have sounded like it made a lot of sense. And when you read it, you really have to look at the words. You really have to try to understand the context of what Robert Burns is saying. It doesn't always make sense, and a lot of the language is something you'd really only understand if you were Scottish or hung around Scots people for a little bit. And so you get that pretty early on. In the second verse, he says, "Hear me, awed hangy for a wee, and let poor damned bodies be. I'm sure small pleasure it can gie e'en to a dale." And so I think the poem was originally titled Address to a Dale, D-E-I-L instead of D-E-V-I-L. And that's probably the language that Robert Burns would have used in his time, rather than specifically saying the word devil. So that's a huge part of this poem, is understanding the time and the place in which it was written. And then the next part is obviously the narrative. What exactly is he talking about here? And it's just him accusing the devil of being a bad person, a bad thing, saying that the devil is. The devil takes people from their home. It preys on women and men. He specifically references the Garden of Eden and how it tormented Adam and Eve and made things worse for humanity. And at the end of the poem, he's like, I know you're thinking that this bard, this poet, might be ranting, and you think the devil might prey upon me, but I have faith. So the devil's not going to get me. So really just a diatribe against Satan, against the devil. And indeed, like as I just mentioned, like a big part of this poem is religion. It's the prelude, like an early verse, is a reference to Paradise Lost. It's like, "O Prince, O Chief of many throned powers that led them embattled seraphim to war." So talking about Paradise Lost, that's heavily religious. You're talking about the devil and its names, referencing the Garden of Eden. A lot of religion mentioned there. It should be noted that the devil doesn't originally show up in the Bible. A lot of people think there are scattered references, but the devil was really introduced much later in the Christian religion, the Catholic religion. It's very interesting how he utilizes religion here, which you would expect from a poem about the devil, and then just sort of understanding the anger that you feel in this poem is, or that at least the narrator feels in this poem, is directed towards how the devil is seen as negative towards humanity overall, whereas like in its absence, like you don't see God mentioned in this poem, but he's kind of there, like he's kind of referenced, because who is the opposite of the devil? God. And so this is really praising God, in addition to yelling at the devil, saying mean things, criticizing the devil here. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Address to the Devil by Robert Burns. A pretty fun poem. Certainly one that is very seasonal, I would say. I do think Robert Burns also had other Halloween-themed poems as well, so those might be fun to check out for Spooktober. I'm going to put a link to this poem in the description. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and what you think about the dialect and the way that Robert Burns is writing English here. The Old English that he might be using, the Scottish, something like that. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about this author or this poem if they don't know already. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and devil accusing travels. Farewell.